Seems like things are working, guys. So welcome to this particular live webinar on the non-linear exploration, data exploration. So the idea of this exploration is that we're often, starting stuff or analyzing data when data is given to us. There is some amount of data, but rarely we see the background of how data gets created. What are the cases that we should consider while creating the data, then building the data, identifying the use cases, adding relevant data to the use case, and then building and creating a report, right? The idea here is that you want to basically create value or context, provide context to the stakeholders that you're serving, and depending on that, what you present is going to differ, right? So for this particular example, I've chosen an e-commerce store, and we're going to identify a business case, then we're going to create data for it, then we're going to identify what context we're going to build a report for, and then we're going to build and automate that report. And I'm going to show you what is going to be there within that, and then we're going to try to create some variations in the data that will help us see how that the report values change when you change the data altogether, right? So this will give you intuition of what to look for in the data and what kind of data you should have, or how data are placed, so that you can build your report much more effectively and tell your story much more better. Okay, so let's look at what we're going to do with the identify use cases. Right now, there are multiple use cases that we can follow within this, and the first use case that we're going to execute within this particular webinar is that we're going to check out customer behavior. Right, there's sales revenue, and there is marketing funnel, there is vendor data. There's a lot of other things that are available within this, but let's just stick to customer behavior right now and see how much we can bring out from the data. Right now, keep in mind, we're going to do basics of stuff, and probably if you like this video, we're going to do much more in this particular series. So I've also placed the email subscription link in the comment section. I will place it after this webinar is over. So do subscribe to my email, and to ensure that you receive all of these live webinar updates whenever I go live and explore the data in a non-linear way. Anyway, so next we're going to do create data. Now create data, for this customer behavior, we're going to require customer data, a set of customers that will help us intact and analyze their behavior. And so we'll try to get some customers. We'll have some orders which we will create, and obviously customers buy some products, right? So we need some products information also to be able to help us identify what customer behaviors are occurring when they are buying these products, right? So, and what's the context that we are building this particular report, right? So why should we build this particular report, right? So the report that we're going to be building is for this, right? Let me just close this. So the report that we're going to build is for this customer behavior basic. We're going to see how much new customers are paying, how much repeat customers are buying, or how much existing customers are buying, and so we want to know what's the frequency, and there's so many other things. We'll explore this while we build the data. Okay, and let's see how we can do that. And then lastly, we're going to automate this report in such a way that whatever explorations we do on the data, we want to see how it reflects for these particular customers, and also try to find out some use cases where we can increase, decrease, and it'll help us rapidly go through and do some checks and balances that will help us give us immediate feedback and see what else we can play around. And so I'm going to keep this variations of the data that we will create a surprise element, because I don't know what I'm going to do. I will come up as I build the data. But the idea here is that, we have this customer data behavior that we want to analyze, and then we will build and automate the reports using some if functions, fixing logic, and name manager. And this particular trick that I'm going to show you is going to be a gold mine for you guys. So do watch out. By learning just these three techniques together with a couple of other functions in combination, you'll see that you will up your game for creating reports using Excel, right? Obviously, I'm going to use Excel for this particular scenario, but you can do the same thing with any other tool. Okay, so that's the context, guys. Now that you know the context, let's open up Excel and get started with it. So I don't have any data whatsoever within this particular Excel. I'm going to just create the data, and I'm going to encounter some issues that may come within the way, and I'm going to try to solve all of that, right? So it's completely from scratch, so that your data intuition is built, your speed is built, your logic is built, and the context in which you generate the data is also built, right? So I think this is going to be a good practice for you to understand and do things on the fly. Awesome. So I am now going to increase the font size here. I'm also, so thanks Satyaki and Karuna and Love Shukla. My connection is fine, Karuna, so it's going to be just check your internet connection. I've checked the internet connection before going live, so yeah, definitely check it out. Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. So let's get started then. Now remember, we need to create data, right? So we've identified the use case. The use case is customer behavior, so we need to create this kind of data, right? So to create that kind of data, we need customers data, products, and orders, right? So I'm going to put, let's say customers data here, right? So it's going to say customers data. Then we have orders data, and then we also have products data. So 3 different tables. There's no data as of now. Then we'll identify what are the columns that we're going to be requiring here, right? So I'm just going to ensure that these are within the same size. Okay, so the size, it's customer data, you need customer IDs to uniquely identify it, right? So you're going to say customer ID. Customer ID is what we're going to begin with. Okay, so I don't like to keep any column names with a space, right? So it needs to have an underscore. It's good practice that you have all your names with underscore. So customer ID. We also need customer name. I don't know if I'm going to find some names, but let's try to find some names to make it real. Right, so customer ID and customer name, and yeah, so that's it. I think so. This is what we require as of now. Maybe we can add location or something like that here. I'm sure we can add much more information. Yeah, so that is the 3 columns that we will be using now, right? Then orders data. What are the orders data that we will be having? So it's going to be order ID, right? Then which date of purchase, date purchased, right? Product ID. So and then obviously customer ID, right? So a customer can purchase multiple products within the same day, right? So within the same ID itself, right? So let's see if you're doing multiple products within that same store or single product. Multiple products is going to be a little tricky to get, but let's try to find just single products and see if we can get that one first, right? Then we can expand to do multiple products on one. And for the orders, we need to have a time frame, right? So the time frame, let's assume that it's going to be from 1st Jan 2020 to 31st December 2020, right? So this is the time frame that we'll build, and I think so this is good enough period for us to analyze data. So this is the time frame that we'll be building. Now we also need to know how many units they purchased, right? And quantity, we can call this as quantity, right? So they can purchase one product in variations of 2, 1, 3, 4, whatever it is, right? So let's see how we can get quantity, right? Did purchase, we can say purchase date. Thanks Rahul. So yeah, purchase date, quantity, we have all of this, and then we have the final thing that we need is products, right? So we're going to say product ID here, and we also need product name, right? And we're going to put the product price here. Okay, let's say price is here. So as of now, we will not be able to extract the sales revenue directly or the purchase, because price is available here and the quantity is available here, right? So we need to sort of merge the data to be able to get it. Okay, now finally we've got the columns. So now let's build the data within this particular thing. So let's say we have 100 customers. So I'm going to say begin with a customer ID of 101, and I'm going to expand this, fill the series here, right? Continue to expand here till I reach 200. Okay, I'm doing a bit of a manual work, but I'm sure there are better ways to do it. Okay, so there we go. We have total of 100 customers available here, right? And we definitely need to have some amount of names available for it. We don't have the names, and so we need to have locations. Right now we have to assign random locations, and that's going to be a little difficult to assign random locations. So let's see how we can try to put some locations, right? So I'm going to put, let's say, Hyderabad, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Indore. Okay, 5 cities. Maybe let's say that the e-commerce store is present in these 5 stores. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this to another ID and another place and have it placed there, right? Because if we can have multiple locations occur, so it's going to be city and city ID here. Now, this is good practice to have all of these things available here. I'm going to put 2, 3, 4, and I'll tell you in a bit why I'm doing this, right? So I have city ID and city. I'm going to call this as city, and I need to randomly get some locations within this particular thing, right? So to get random locations, I need to get a number from 0 to 5 randomly, right? So I'm going to say random between 1 to 5 because there are 5 cities, right? And so if I go down and copy all of this data here, you'll see that I have around 1 2 3 4 5 cities here, right? Now because we have these cities, we can just look up the names that we just created from this particular place, right? So it's going to be city. Actually, this is just going to be city here, right? And I'm going to take this here, right? So I have a random number which I can just VLOOKUP here and go to the city table, select this F4, and then second column, comma, exact match. So as you can see now, you got the cities available. Only thing is random between is a volatile function. So each time you do enter, it's going to be changing it, right? So we don't want this change to occur every time this happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix this, right? So I'm going to copy and say paste special values. That way, this random number will continue to change, but this one will remain constant because I've removed the formula. The only difference is whatever lookup I had done, it's now fixed, and these customers will now have a fixed name. Now there is customer name that we need to build. Now I'm going to try to do a little hack which probably may work or may not work, but I'm going to try to put a random letter name with 3 letters, right? So ABC space ZYZ, like that, 6 letters stuff, name, customer name, and let's see how that looks like. You want to get customer names directly, but I'm just playing in it since I'm staying true to the non-linear exploration, right? So some things may fail, some things may work. Anyways, so for names, what I'm thinking to do is I'm going to get random letters. A to B, A to Z are going to be random letters, and space again A to B random letters. So it can be something like this, space, something like that to get names, right? Again, this is bogus names, but ideally you want to pick out some names from some database and randomly put it. Okay, but in the Excel version, let's see how we can get that particular name randomly. So I will keep these, call this data. There are some additional information that I'm trying to put here, which okay, so I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go till 26. Right, so it's going to be A, B, and let's see if Excel can pick up this. Try to do. Okay, it doesn't pick up this. Okay, so I'm just going to put it manually. C, D, E, F, G. Oh, in fact, there is a function that can help me do this. Let me see if that will be here. Okay, so 90 is equal to character of this. It's Z, right? So this is Z, which means 90 minus 26. 90 minus 26. Okay, let me just expand this. So I'm trying to get ABC instead of putting it manually. I'm trying to use a function that will help me get that. And 90 number using the character function is going to be Z. And so if I say is equal to this minus 26 is 64, copy this and paste it here. That's at the rate. That means 63 should be the number. 63 is 64. 65. Yes, 65 is the number. Which means if I take character of this, I will be able to get 1 to 26 characters available here, right? So it's like this is equal to character. In fact, I could just do random between with these numbers itself and get a random name, but this is much more easy for me to do. So let's see. Okay, so I got all of these characters. I can basically remove this, copy paste special values. Okay, so I have these values with me, which I can then randomly use within this particular thing. Okay, so yeah, I think so it's going to be better to use these numbers from 65 to 90 rather than trying to that number, right? So what I will do is I will say, okay, random between, so I'm going to say character of a random between 65 to 90. So what this does, it it randomly creates a character. Okay, randomly creates a character. Yeah, and so I want to do 3 of this, 6 of this with a space. And yeah, so 3 of this, I'm going to concatenate a space and then also put again this 3 times. Okay, so as you can see, you will create a random name for this particular thing. Okay, bit of a detour, but at least you are able to get some random names, right? So I'm going to copy this and paste special values. I'm going to leave one of them here so that if in case I want to change something, I can change it. So I got the customer ID, customer name, and city, which is good. Now we need orders data, right? So each of these customers will create an order here, right? And so we want to have 1 year of data, and let's see how we can create that, right? So I'm going to begin by taking 1st January here, and I'm going to say this +1, which will give me the 2nd Jan, and then I continue to expand this till 365 days, right? Till 1 year of data. Okay, so 27, 38, and yeah. So I have 1 year worth of data. I'm going to copy and paste special values here, right? Because this is order date, right? So I'm going to put order date here. Order ID, again, I'm going to begin by, let's say e-commerce stores have some letters and then number combination. So let's say we're going to say order dash 0001 or something like that, right? So let's say this is the order ID, and if you just drag it down, you'll automatically have the order number, right? So you got the order numbers. Again, it seems too linear or plain to be there, but okay, we got unique order IDs now. Okay, now we need product IDs and customer ID randomly here, because remember 100 customers are going to purchase some random products, right? So first let's create the product IDs here. So like I'm going to say, yeah, product, let's say product dash 001, right? So that you have, let's say for simplicity, we're going to say there are 15 products in the store. We're going to use the same logic here. Product name, right? So instead of having a space, I'm going to remove the space and just have random product name here, right? So this way, at least I have some unique products. So I'm going to copy paste special values here. So I have different product names and then price, right? So let's say our store sells, some gift items, and the minimum store value that we have is 1,000 rupees, right? And it can go up to 10,000 rupees. So I'm going to say a random between 1,000 to 10,000 will be the price range of this particular store, right? So these are the product prices we will have within the store, right? I'm going to convert this into rupees. Okay, so basically now we have the product ID, product name, price, we have order data. Now we need to put together the product ID and customer ID together so that we have some random data getting generated, right? And quantity, again, it's going to be a number. So let's say we can have minimum of 1 quantity to 5 quantity, right? So you can say random between 1 to 5, which is good enough for getting this particular data, right? I go down, control up, control D, and then I have random quantities generated. Okay, now I need to get product ID here randomly, and then customer ID also randomly, right? So product ID, let's see. So it's P-001. So it's P-001 and 215, right? So P-001, 215, that is going to be the order. Okay, so it's going to be something like this, is equal to P dash 0 0, maybe not. How can we get this? Okay, I will simply look it up randomly. Okay, number, we can delete this, but I'm going to say 1 2. That's why numbers are very good to work with, guys. Whenever text information comes, it becomes a little bizarre. Okay, there's different ways to solve this, but I'm just going to randomly VLOOKUP some of the products here, right? So it's going to be something like this. VLOOKUP the value is going to be random between 1 to 15, right? Comma, and I'm going to look it up within this particular place. Okay, and fix it, comma 2, comma exact match. Okay, so you see a random product has now come. Now if I just double click it, you'll see that random products were listed within this particular table. And similarly, I'm going to take this and I'm going to place it here, right? But the only difference is that I need to now get these customer ID. Okay, customer ID is relatively easy because I've just put that as 101. So it's just going to be random between 1 to 100. Sorry, 101 to 100. Okay, 101 to 200. Sorry. Yeah. So that's the customer IDs, and these are the customers that made purchases. Right. So I'm going to again fix this so we don't excessively run the functions. I'm going to fix all of these. So we got the flat data. So by this time it took us like around half an hour to build the data. And so on top of this is what we're going to be building our report, right? And remember, the context that we are trying to build here is that we have create data, customer data, product data, order data, right? So we created these data sets, we got the thing, and what context we are trying to, right? We want to see customer behavior by segment, new, repeat, and what else, right? So let's see, when a particular customer came in first within that particular data, right? So let's see how we can identify that. But first, we need to see what is the revenue that got created within that data, right? Right now the price is in one table and the the quantity is in another table, right? So we need to multiply price with quantity to get the revenue out of it, right? So let's see how we can get the revenue out of it also first. Okay, so we have the orders data. We need to get the price here, right? And if we are able to get price, then we will be able to get the revenue here, right? So we're simply going to VLOOKUP. So we're going to VLOOKUP the product ID from the products data and then get the third column here, right? So F4 comma 3 exact match. Okay, so we got this price we got for all of these orders that are available, and now we can simply multiply the quantity into the price to get the total revenue generated in that particular order. Okay, I can copy this down, select both of them, and then convert it to rupees here. Okay, so we got the price and revenue. So far the data is looking good, and now let's build a basic report before we come to that context, right? Let's just see what is the top five customers using pivot table and something like that. Let's see what other top 10 customers that look like, right? So before we get into that, we're going to put some structure in place, and that structure is called as format as table. Maybe I should mention this here within this. So it's going to be VLOOKUP that I'm using, and I'm also going to be using format as table for automation, right? So very odd combination, but you'll see that these combination does a good amount of magic. Okay, so we are here right now, and I'm going to create 3 different tables. One is this one. I'm going to say format as table. This is going to be customer data. So it's just going to be customer ID, customer name, right? And I'm going to give this as data customer. I'm giving a name to this particular table, right? Data customer. Similarly here, I'm going to give this another table, another color. I'm going to call this as data orders. And I'm going to come to the product data. I'm going to delete this one. We don't require it. So I'm going to say format as table, give it another color. And we're going to call this as data products. So yeah, so 3 different tables created. And now on the orders data, let's see what are top 10 customers, right? So for this particular thing, we're going to create a pivot table on top of this to quickly get the summary of it, right? So I'm going to expand this a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to take revenue first to the values area. So this is the revenue generated, and I'm going to take customer ID here in this place, right? And as you can see, I'm getting the revenue here for the customers, but I want to find out who did the maximum revenue. And so product, the customer name, one customer with customer ID 166 did the maximum revenue, right? And I want to see when was his first purchase. When was his first purchase? So I'm going to put purchase date here, and I'm going to put maximum here, right? Now this will not be formatted in the date format that we are accustomed with. So we need to take number format and say date and say this and say okay. And then I'll be able to get this particular information, right? So a minimum purchase. Let's see what's the minimum purchase also of this particular customer, right? So I'm going to take purchase date here again. I'm going to say minimum here in this particular case. Right, same principle here. Go to value field settings, go to number format, and then change it to date to be able to get the date here, right? So that's the purchase rate, duration of that each of the customer, right? So basically this customer 166, which is customer 166. Right, so 166 customer is here from Hyderabad, right? He did the most purchase, and he made his first purchase on January, and then the last purchase he did is August, right? And beyond August he did not make any purchase, right? So that's one thing that we can straight away see from this, right? And let's go to the last customer. Let's see what is the last customer. So last customer made only one purchase on 13th September and did not make any other purchases, right? So similarly, this guy 18th May 1st, and then 31st July another purchase, right? So few purchases. I think so number of purchases also going to be helping us. So I'm going to take this one and see how many purchases they made. And as you can see, some of them made towards the end made one or two purchases, but mostly the most occurring customer 166 made 11 purchases, right? So that's how this is your top 10 customers. So that's how we are able to identify what kind of customers are existing within this particular information. But our objective again is a little different here. We want to identify who was a new customer or a repeat customer, right? So that's going to be a little tricky to identify it, but let's see how we can do that. Okay, so how do you know whether a customer is new or repeating customer, right? So we should have a way to identify what is a new identifier. There should be a criteria, right? And we should also have a criteria which says that a customer is a repeat customer, right? Or let's say a customer is a lapsed customer also, right? So there is there is this nuance where we will be able to identify, right? So let's say new customer, repeat customer, and then let's say cold customer, right? So cold would mean that he did make a purchase, but he's no longer making any purchase, right? And so what is that definition? What is that definition that we need to have? Okay, so this can be a little difficult, but let's try to simplify and how we can arrange this particular thing, right? So new, repeat, and cold. Let's define a criteria for all of this. So top customers, okay, and the customer segments. If you're watching and listening to this particular webinar, do mention in the comment section what do you think it can be the logic of using this particular thing, guys. What do you think can be? Mention that in the comment and let me know. Okay, so segments, segments, and then the criteria. Okay, so it's going to be the criteria. Segment is going to be new, repeat, and then cold. Okay, new is let's say we are looking at monthly information. So if, and we need to have a point of reference of when that new is, right? So let's say let's say we have 12 months data, right? So we have Jan 20 as the data, right? And then if we drag it down, we'll have till December, right? So let's say we exist within the month of we are in the month of August, right? We are here in this particular thing, right? So a new customer would mean anybody who's bought who's not previously bought this, has never bought from this, but is the first time they're buying the product first time within this month, right? So this is customer buys first time on store, right, in the month of August. So if you're in the month of August, then that will become the new customers. However, if they have, let's say we'll say customer buys first time within the reporting month, right? So that's the criteria that we came up with. So if he's buying here, that means it's a new customer within that month, from August 1st to August 31, whatever it is. The customer is going to be tagged as new customer, right? And what is a repeat customer? So if a customer bought in the last 3 months, right, then we're going to tag it as a repeat. We're going to tag it as a repeat customer. Okay, so that's going to be a repeat customer. Okay, last 3 months. Customer purchased a product in the last 3 months, right? So that's going to be a repeat customer. Cold customer is beyond 4 months no purchase, right? So beyond 4 months no purchase, right? So that's going to be the what we say, the criteria for classifying new, repeat, and code, right? And so let's look at our top customers to pivot table here, right? And consider our reporting month to be let's say a reporting month to be, let's okay, first we need to put months somewhere. Okay, we have this months here. Why not we use this one itself? I'm going to copy this. Sorry, and put it here. There's a month here. Expand it. I'm going to say month and extract the month part of it. So 1 to 12, just so that we have it in number, right? And number. And then we're going to have a relativity quotient here. Relativity quotient is basically, related to the reporting month. How are the months going to be looking, right? So let's say our reporting month is October, right? So October is our reporting month. So this will be marked as 1. This will be marked as -1. And if you keep going back this series, you'll see that we are going one month away, right? And so we can say month -1. That would be a little better in terms of 0, right? So month 0, something like this. So so month 0, something like this, right? So you have month 0, 1, 2, 3, and all of that, right? So if a customer buys within the month of 10, the October, then he's going to be tagged as new customer, right? This is going to be new customer. If he buys within this particular thing, he's going to be called as a repeat customer, right? So I'm going to say repeat, right? And rest of them are going to be cold customers, right? So I'm going to call them as cold, something like this, right? So this is the typical representation of what your customer segments are going to be looking like, right? We are just building things as we move along, guys. Okay, so we got this relative. Okay, and we can change this, and then this will continue to be changing, right? So we can call this as October 20 segments, right? And similarly, if you had to consider for September, right? If you have to consider for September, segments will differ again, right? So September 20 segments will be differing a little bit. It'll be like something like this, right? Sorry, my bad. It's going to be something like this, where this will become anybody customer purchasing in the September, but they will become new, and it'll keep going. If I copy this, and this will become, let's say, August, right? So August segments will go one step above here, one step above, right? It's like that. So it'll keep moving like this. And so we want to analyze this kind of behavior within this particular data, right? So let's see how we can embed these customer segments within our order data here, right? So and we're going to put 3 different segments, right? So I'm going to call this as segments. We don't want. Okay, so we're going to copy this, 3 different segments, go to the order data and place it here, right? Now we need to get those segment names here, and remember this December, we have from October, September and August data, right? So anything beyond October, we are just going to put it in another table. Beyond October, we're going to put it in another table, right? Remember, we're trying to automate, so we're going to bring the data back, but let's take out October data and see how we can handle that whenever new data comes in, right? So beyond October, let's delete it, not delete it. We're going to put it in a different table. So I'm going to copy this, go here and paste it here, delete it here. This one will be deleted. Delete. Okay, I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Okay, so this is fresh data. Let's see whenever November and December month's data comes in, how we can handle that, right? So we need to have some scope for that particular thing also. So yeah, so that's it. We're going to now VLOOKUP. Yeah, we're going to let's see where are the so what can we look up? Yeah, so we can look up these months available here, right? So we're simply going to look up these months and then get the relative information here, right? So in October, let's see, we look up month of the purchase date within this particular data. Okay, F4, comma 1 2 3, comma 3, comma exact match, right? So you got the customer segments, and that's how this will be working. And I'm going to take this and also get the other customer segments, that is the 4th one, and similarly get this one. This will be the 4th column. So we have different segments. There will be some zeros here, right? So you'll see these zeros are October new customers, right? So but they did exist within the database early on, right? So that's why they don't have any status. And so we need a way to handle this particular situation. What should be they called if they are there in September and August, because again they did not exist in September and August. They only came into existence when they were in October. So for now we can call this as NA. Let's not think too much, but we're going to call this as NA for now. Okay, because they didn't exist earlier. Okay, so yeah, so we got this information, order details, and we got the customer segments, right? And finally we've built the data, and now we are ready to analyze this report, right? So we want to see how can we analyze this behavior, right? We want to see whether the new customers are on average purchasing much more value, providing more revenue, or repeat are providing more revenue, right? Or the cold, what's the revenue that the cold provide, or what's the purchase amount that they have, right? So let's see what the data looks like and see where we are heading, right? So first of all, we're going to use some ifs and name manager to create some of this. So let's see how we can create that. Now I'm going to create a report that will analyze a report. We're just going to call this a report now. Okay, and let's just zoom into understanding October, September, and this thing. right? That's the range that we want to explore and see what happens within that, right? So we have different segments. We have cold, repeat, and new, right? We want to take this and we're going to transpose them here. So we have this here. And we also want to sum up month of September's information, October's and September, October. Oh, what is that? Yeah, October, September, and August. So let's see how we can get that information, right? So, this is daily data, so we need to have some month column to help us get that information, right? So it's going to be month. And I'm going to say month of this, right? It's going to format it like this, but we don't want this format, so I'm going to do something like this here, right? So I got the month, which means now I can easily get this information, right? So it's going to be 8, 9, 10. So month is going to be, say, month 8, 9, and 10. And I'm going to do one more trick, which is going to help me analyze this information much more quickly, right? So I'm going to use name manager. So it's going to be data, formulas, create from selection, and say top row, right? So all of these names were created, and now I can safely write a formula that will help us build the report, right? So this is a month and this is the report, right? So first, let's get the revenue out of this particular thing. So come here and say revenue. Give this a format. Let's give this revenue. Let's give this some heading here. And yeah, let's go with this. Okay. View, remove the grid lines. Okay, so let's get the revenue here first and see how we can get that. So we're going to use sum ifs, right? So sum ifs, the sum range is the revenue, right? Comma, we want month of this particular value here, right? And I'm going to fix the column in this particular case. Close that, comma, and then there is a so this, since this is for September, yeah, this is for September, right? So we're going to say September 20 segment. We're going to get that, and then we're going to say this above part here and fix the row in this particular case. So no revenue as such for new customers. Let me drag this here. For old customers, no. Oh, okay. So we are doing it for 8, which means this segment we need to change it. So this is a segment. Remember, all of the 3 columns are different, so that's why we need to be doing this. And instead of September, in fact, what will work is August, right? So that's August. No new customer in August. Month. Okay, let's look at the data. Do we have new customer in August? Yes, we have new customers. They should have, but they have purchased in September. We don't want September purchase. So definitely something is wrong. What is wrong? A due customer in August. Oh, okay. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 4 and 5. Okay, so that's my mistake. This is going to be 4, and this is going to be 5. Right? So immediate feedback. If something is wrong, we are able to know this particular thing. Right? So, I'm looking up date for some reason. Right? We don't want to look up date. We want to look up. Yeah, okay, we are looking up month, which is correct. Oh yeah, we filtered it. So, and yes, so we have new customers and they are from August. Okay. So come to the report. Yes, now we have gotten the value. So if you copy it down, we should ideally be getting some value. But August 20 code, we don't have any report, any repeat customers here. Is that right? We have repeat customers. May we have repeat customers. Oh, so this will become month of 8. Okay, so that is why we are not able to get it, right? So we need to have a play. I mean, the reason we are not able to get it is I'm trying to get what is the revenue of new customers that came in the August and in the month of August, but that same customer might have purchased previously, and so we are not able to get that particular value here. So how can we get this particular value here? Which means anything else should be a repeat customer. So which means we just need to remove the month portion in this particular case, right? So if you remove the month, right, we get the same number, but now if I extend this, I'll also get the revenue for others, right? So too much criteria also not helpful. Okay, so we got the revenue, and this is for August here, and so I'm going to paste it here. Similarly, this is for August. Now if I want to repeat this or change it for others, I'm going to say indirect of this and say here, we'll fix the column here. Okay, and place the data here. Okay, copy this down here. I'm going to call this as October. I'm going to call this as September, right? And then we finally have a revenue table of how these customers are behaving, right? So you see new customers are bringing in good amount, but again this sum of whole will not be able to give us good information, and so we want to get, instead of this, let's try to get average revenue and see what it will be looking, right? So average revenue is what we will be looking at, right? So this will be, instead of sum ifs, we're going to say average ifs, right? So that way we will know what the customers are getting in, right? So yeah, same formula, we just copied and changed it, and since we are not using this, we can change this to this, which will be much more better. So August 2020, copy and paste. Okay, so we've got this segment. We can hide this particular column here if you want to. Let's insert something, then hide this, which will no longer report. So that's the report. And you see, so we are comparing the customers in August, August, October, and December, and seeing the average purchase, right? So definitely month on month, the average customer purchase is going up. However, repeat customers for not December, this should be September. What are the segments did I create? I forgot itself. August, September, October. August, September, October. August, September, October. Yeah. So these are the months that will be used here. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, this is how the pattern looks like. We've reached a stage one where we're able to just identify tag customers and get a revenue, but also look at meaningful information, that is the average revenue, right? So and so with this we can see that new customers in August had an average purchase value of 17,000. September, this is what's happening, right? So there is a good trajectory for new customers, which means new customers are buying much more expensive products. Repeat customers, however, are declining, and so something can be done here. There are cold customers which on an average bought this much revenue, but they are not buying anymore, right? So how can you improve their value, because they're like as you can see, there's a good amount of average that they have, right? So how do you get them back and to make more purchases, help them make purchases? What campaigns do you run to help them make more purchases, right? So that's the strategy going for all of this. And then repeat customers, you want to know why they're not purchasing much more, and so bring in more products that will help them continue buying, right? So there you have it, guys. This is how we identified a business case, right? And then we created the data, we saw the context, we want to analyze customer data, then we built a report using these functions, and then I did some variations, not too much variations, but yeah, I did some variations and started doing stuff on that, right? But so far till now, we've done enough, and so I think I will end it here. And in the next series, I will revisit this particular data and see what are the other variations we can add, what columns we can add, what data we can add, and then keep layering or creating that report in a much more better fashion. So yeah, that's it, guys. If you watched it till this particular place, guys, I've placed a link for you to subscribe to my email subscription. So subscribe to that, and definitely stay tuned for more non-linear data experiments from my side. So thank you, guys. And if you like my video, guys, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel on YouTube and other places also as well. So thank you. Have a good day. Good night.